In this first look video from InfluenceWP, we are checking out Simply Static, which is a solution that's going to allow you to take your current WordPress website, run it through a static site generator, and then host it statically, making it faster and more secure. Before we poke around the website here a bit for Simply Static, and then look at the actual solution together, just a quick bit of housekeeping. First look videos cover products we have no prior experience with. They show vendors how new users experience their website and product for the very first time. These videos are unedited, high-level introductions that are not paid for, they're not sponsored, and they contain no affiliate links. If you would like videos like this created for your business, go to influencewp.com/partners and request your free partner membership. And we thank the team over at Simply Static for being a partner. All right, so the website we are looking at today is simplystatic.com, simplystatic.com. All right, and as I said earlier, fast and secure WordPress, but without the headaches. Convert your existing WordPress website to a static website with Simply Static, the best WordPress static site generator. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to roll through this website. We're going to look for some key pages. We're going to look for a changelog, documentation, and an about page. We're going to rattle off all the features so we make sure we don't miss anything. And yeah, then we're going to check out the actual solution together. So let's just start here in the navigation area. I'm going to go under product to what we can see. Here we go. Found some features. Let's pull that up. Let's pull up the changelogs. Let's go up under learn, pull up the documentation. All right, and I'm not seeing an about page, so let's scroll down to the bottom. All right, I'm not seeing an about page. Let me do a quick search just to make sure. Okay, so that'd be my only thing so far that I don't see is I'd like to see an about page with a bit about the team. Patrick Posner over there is doing great things, super generous, very kind, very responsive, all those things you want to see in a software vendor. I'd like to see him put that face and a little bit about what I just said out there on the website. So establish that trust with potential customers, right? All right, so let's check out where are we at here. Let's check out the features. So again, a static site generator. Easy updates are if we see these designations like these badges that say Pro. So this is going to be in the Pro version. So you can do easy updates, use incremental exports to quickly push all of your changes to your static site without time commitment of a full export. So really quickly with that in mind, so your let's just call it an original WordPress website before it goes static is going to live what they recommend in like a subdomain. So it'd be, for example, it could be subdomain whatever .influencewp.com could be like where my actual my original WordPress website lives, and then the static version could live at influencewp.com. But what they're talking about here with the easy updates is that there's going to be times when you need to push updates over to the static side, and they're saying they make it even easier for you in the Pro version. There's a quick publish version, automatically push posts and pages to your static site with our single and build exports for even quicker updates. Deploy everywhere, local directory and zip, GitHub, AWS, Bunny CDN, SFTP, or Static Studio. We see that has a studio badge. We're going to be looking at the studio version in this video. All right. Keep it static. These are all under the Pro badge. Static friendly search. So you're going to be able to have full search capabilities. Keep using forms. You're going to have forms capability. When you go over to the static side of things, and I am brand new to static websites. This is just all of the reading I've done before hitting record. There's a lot of fear, right? That when you go to the static side, you're going to lose certain things, certain functionality. But with Simply Static, they're bringing a lot of that functionality over there for you on the static side. So as we see here, search and forms being a couple of those. You can go multilingual. Make it fly, so you're going to get minification. You're going to be able to hide the fact that it's WordPress. So that's going to lessen the security footprint So you can hide the fact that you're using WordPress, because some people, the bad guys out there, look sometimes for the fact that it is a WordPress site, because then they know which scripts to run against it to try to break into it. So you have the ability to hide that. And then also under Pro is the ability to optimize images. They have a short pixel API integration. Under Secure Platform, these are all under Studio. So you're going to get a control panel where you can create and manage hundreds of static WordPress websites easily. You can lock down WordPress, so fully locked down with a modern server stack, including automated backups and SSL. Powerful tools, secure one-click logins, fine granular access management, and fully automated imports. And then under they're making developers happy with filters and actions, Composer and WP CLI is under the Pro version. Okay, then they have a nice breakdown here of what's in free versus Pro versus Studio. Again, we're going to be looking at the Studio version, and the difference is, and the reason why we're doing it in this video is because it's easier. It's just you do everything on their side, so they're going to host it, provide the tools, and all that. Whereas with Pro, you're going to take care of that yourself. You're going to host it in one of those places that I talked about earlier: GitHub, Cloudflare Pages, Netlify, AWS, those types of places. So you're going to deploy it into one of those of your choice, right? Whereas Studio is going to take care of that for you. Okay, so I think that's good enough coverage of the features. Staying high level again here. Change logs. Yep, pretty active change logs. Love to see it. Love to see it. I also love to see that there's release dates along with the version numbers. Sometimes you see change logs that have just the version number, and it's hard to tell when things were released. So it's good to see release dates. Documentation. This looks to be some really good documentation, and I know this because I read through this before hitting record. We can just do a search here for, let's just try form. There we go. Let's just click on one of these. There we go. So there's videos in here for everything I found. And when there's not videos, well, there's videos for everything. And there's also like screenshots with annotations. Here we go. This is a good example. Just really, really amazing documentation. All right. So what we're going to do here is let me close down some of these screens, and we're going to just get going here. I'm going to leave this one up right here. Let's leave that page up. So here I am. I'm in my Simply Static studio, logged in. And as I said, there's another option where you can deploy it to a platform of your choice. So what you can do there is click this download export plugin. So we're not going to go through this entire process, but I'm going to show you how you would get this started. So you download the plugin from your dashboard, go over to your website, add it as a plugin as you would add any other plugin. Once that's in there, click export site. It's going to generate that static site for you. There we go. And you're just going to, everything looks like it ran just fine. Then you're just going to download that export file. Okay. You can come over then to, whatever that platform is of your choice. Maybe it happens to be Studio. If that's the case, you can come over here and click import site. And then just choose that file that you downloaded and pull that in. Okay. We'll go ahead and do that actually, because I'm going to show you another way as well. We'll go ahead and just let this run. So choose the file, and we're going to click import site. Depending on the size of your website, this is going to take, for this site that I'm doing here, there's nothing to it. There's like just the default 2025 theme with WordPress and just the Simply Static plugin. That's it. So it's going to be, it's just going to take a couple of minutes to do, if that. But again, if you're depending on the site and how much content and what's going on, then it will take longer depending on how much stuff you've got going on. Okay, so another option you have, which the founder Patrick told me about, that we're going to do next, just to speed things up. But here you see that import that I brought in. It just goes through and it's going to update you on the status. You're actually going to get an email too, so if you need to walk away from your desk, it's going to kind of tell you what's going on. But we're going to go over here and we're going to go back to that import site option. And we're going to click on create blank site. And what this is going to do is install the Ollie theme, which I highly recommend. That's really awesome that this is part of this. So yeah, it's going to pull in the Ollie theme, and it's going to pull in, I believe it is WP Forms is going to be brought in. Now, Simply Static supports lots of forms, but this is just what comes bundled in there. And it's this, the static side of things is already configured. Okay. So let's go ahead and just click create blank site. And we see here the original site that we imported is now in the creating phase. So we're just going to let these run. So I paused the video for a couple minutes to let both of these run. What I ended up doing was deleting the one that we were importing in, just to see if to let this job go a bit faster. So you'll see here that it says it's going to be ready in 36 seconds. While that's running, I'm just going to jump over real quick back to the website and just talk about a couple of things that I saw. So over here, again, we're working with Static Studio, and they give you a nice walkthrough here of all the steps that you need to take. One of the things I wanted to bring up is like the forms and the email. So they support a number of forms. What you're going to do, depending on what forms plugin you use, you're going to come in here and basically connect Simply Static to your forms. And then you also need to configure SMTP, but they give you a nice, simple guide to follow right here, and basically an explanation of why this is all set up this way and how. So very simple stuff. And kind of the same thing for search. You just need to go in there and choose which of these pieces of search that you want to roll with. Fuse.js or Algolia. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce that. There's multilingual search. Under Elementor, the Elementor search widget, they actually recommend replacing that with their Simply Static shortcode, which is this right here. But the moral of the story is that whether it's you need to set up forms or search, just know that you come in here and there's a couple extra steps that you need to do. But when we approached this back over here in Studio, we imported the site and we chose create blank site. And like I said, that already is setting up the WP Forms plugin in particular to be able to use those, the form with Simply Static. So when we come back to our forms, whatever it is that you need to do in here, so like here, set up WP Forms, they've already done this part for you, okay? But if you're going to go with a different Forms Pro plugin, you're just going to follow their same steps to set up your form plugin, okay? Covered search, they give you some tips on optimization. They talk about some integrations, WPML, compliance, redirection, enhanced crawl. If you have any issues with troubleshooting, they give you a lot of resources here. Then there's some advanced stuff, and there's some hooks and filters for the devs out there, but some really nice documentation. And if you're not using Studio, there's still, we saw this before. Let me do another search here for Simply Static. We saw under Learn, there's all kinds of stuff. There's the documentation, video courses, FAQs. Yeah, all kinds of stuff here. So let's go back over to Learn. Check out the video course. Yeah, so all kinds of videos. Just, you're not going to be alone when setting this up. There's too many resources here. Let's go back to documentation. Look at all of these articles that you have. So I would feel confident, even myself as being brand new to static sites, that I would be able to set this up easily. All right, back over here, we are seeing we have a status of creating, and it's going to be active any moment now. I'm looking at my email, and it says import deployed, import in progress. Your site has been deployed successfully. Import is in progress. And then it says this could take a few minutes. All right, I'll go ahead and pause the video now, and then I'll just come back once it's done. As soon as it's like Murphy's Law. As soon as I hit pause on the video, the site's done. So you can see there, I mean, it was just a minute, a couple minutes, and everything was done. I got another email saying your site has been successfully deployed. Okay, now that that is done, we see here, run your first static export to see the details. So over here on the right-hand side, we can click this magic login link. It's going to take us right to our WordPress site. There we go. So that is our site. Okay, this is back like in our original version before we just used that magic link. If I refresh this, so that's interesting. So over here on the original site, go to our plugins, kind of see this right here. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So we're actually just completely decoupled from this because this was that's totally my fault. We're completely decoupled from this because we're not using this method. This is the method that if you want to use the plugin and then go host the site on AWS or Cloudflare or GitHub or whatever, you could do that. So we're actually, again, we're decoupled from this. That's my fault. So we were over here in our studio. Go back. We're over here in our studio, and the actions here, this is a magic login to take us to our site that we deployed right within Simply Static Studio. So I should be able to right click. I can't though. So I kind of want to keep this open and then go to the site. So I'm just going to duplicate this tab. There we go. And now I'm going to use that magic link. Okay, so now we're in this other site. And this is going to give us a new menu, some new menu options over here on the left-hand side. But let's go under plugins real quick. And we see Simply Static here. I'm seeing this for the very first time, guys, just like you. Simply Static here. And then we have, I have Simply Static Pro for testing. So we see both the base and the Pro version. And then, like I said, WP Forms is fully configured and ready to go out of the box. So that's why we are seeing that plugin. And it's the light version of WP Forms. Over here, we see WP Forms, and then you can go ahead and configure your forms as desired. But we have this new Simply Static menu. I'm just going to click on the root menu item just to see what comes up. Okay, so they're showing us the versions of the plugins. We have the options to export or just export changes. We have a nice activity log over here. We can run some diagnostics or look at diagnostics, I should say. Looks like everything is green, so that is good. Under settings in general, we have the option to replace URLs. When exporting your static site, any links to your WordPress site can be replaced by one of the following absolute URLs, relative URLs, or URLs constructed for offline use. So you can change that if you wish. You can adjust the scheme, HTTPS, HTTP, and so on. Set your host name there. Down here we have enhanced crawl. Enhanced crawl, this is I believe a pro version. Enhanced crawl uses native WordPress functions to find all the pages and files when running a static export. So these are all of the active crawlers. Post types to include, so you can adjust that. We are currently pulling in posts and pages. We can include additional URLs if we need to, additional files and directories. We can generate a 404 page, include RSS feeds, include REST API. We can exclude items, directories, individual files. It looks like there is, individual files and so on. Down here under forms, we are saying we want to use forms. We are already connected to WP Forms, so I don't think we need to do anything there. Do we want to use comments? Do we want it to adjust cores? We're not going to get into all of this. Again, super high level. Just know that this is all here. Embed dynamic content iframe. Okay. Let's go down to search. Do we want to use search? If so, which version do we want to use? I'm just going to leave that off. Indexing. So you can do all sorts of things with indexing and CSS selectors and so on. We're going to not touch that. Here's the Fuse.js if you're using that. Up here, if we switch this to Algolia, that obviously is going to give us some options for that. Under Optimize, this is where we can minify our files. All sorts of minification options. Do we want to optimize images with short pixel? Toggle that on, put your short pixel API key in there. Very, very nice. Here we can replace some directory names if we want. Theme style naming, author URL. What do we want to hide? So we have all these options that are turned on by default. Hide WordPress version, hide WordPress generator meta, and so on. What do we want to disable? XML, the embedded scripts, and so on. Under advanced integrations, control integrations that can be active, that will be active during the export of the static site. And then you have all of these options down here. These are a lot of the plugins that are compatible with Simply Static. There's quite a number of those there. I'm not fully sure what happens. Maybe they're just not listed here. If you have a plugin you want to use, it's not listed here. I don't know how that works. You reach out to Simply Static. Do they work on a case by case basis to get those plugins in, or are they saying like this is the only ones we're going to allow? I'm not quite sure how that works, but it could just be that these are the ones that they've worked with so far to make those that integration, a tight integration. Under utilities, we can migrate settings of our Simply Static settings. We can export settings. We can import settings. We can reset everything. If we need to debug, we can come in here and debug some stuff. We need to troubleshoot. We've got a quick link to some documentation, the video course, and then additional tutorials. And I think that covers everything in here. Just going to run through all of these. Here's a direct link to our forms, which again is the WP forms. They're showing right here. This is the form plugin, WP forms, forum ID. Here are the entries. I'm not sure if that's form entries. I'm not quite sure what that entries is for. I'm assuming it's WP forms entries. Under builds, the ability to add more builds. Not quite sure what that is doing either, honestly. Let's go back over to the documentation. Let's search for a couple of these things. Let's search for entries. Yeah, I think that's the forms and emails for the entries. Yeah, here we go. Store form entries in your WordPress installation. WP Forms does that as well. So maybe it's just pointing. Oh, that's interesting. So you need the pro version of the WP Forms for the entries. So I'm not sure if Simply Static is allowing you to get around that. I'm not quite sure. Form entries. Each submission is stored in a custom database table in your WordPress website, and we don't have access to them. Okay, so they don't have access to them. And we don't have access to them, GDPR, CCPA friendly. Okay, that's interesting. So I think that is what that is. I think this is where those form entries are going to be stored. And I think Simply Static is just saying we don't have access to those. Okay. We'll go with that. And then builds. I'm not quite sure what that is. Let's see if we can do a quick search. Okay, that's our, looks like that's our, when we build our exports. There are 3 different ways of generating a static export in Simply Static: full, build, and single, I think are the 3 ways. To add content to your static site after a full export, you can use the build or single options. Okay, so I think that's what that is. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's go under Simply Static and let's go ahead and generate. We haven't done any our initial export, so I'm just going to go ahead and click generate here. So we're just watching this activity log, and we're also watching some stuff happen down here. And we can tell that it's still running because we see a pause button over here. I'm going to let this run for just, we'll let this run together for about 15 more seconds. And if it doesn't finish, then I'll press pause and we'll come back. Okay, I think it's going to be just a second while it uploads these files. So I'm going to go ahead and press pause and I'll come back. Okay, a couple of minutes went by, and as we see here, it says done, finish, and it tells you exactly that. It was 2 minutes, 17 seconds. and we've generated that. Let's go ahead and go to the front end of this site. And as I said, we use the option to just push a pre-built site, if you will, from Simply Static Studio, which is Ollie and WP Forms. So that's what we are seeing here. So super, super cool stuff. And this would be the free version of Ollie, but you now have that. We go under Appearance and Themes. We see that Ollie is activated there. All right. So now if you go, let's say you've got, again, I've not done this whole static thing before. This is, again, brand new. Like first look, this is a first look video for sure. If you come in here and you make some changes, let's say we add, like maybe we add a page, whatever that, that may be. Just publish this. Let's go back into our site, back into the admin area of our site, Simply Static, generate, just export changes, I would think is what you would do in this case rather than the whole thing. Generate. There we go. So we see that only took 27 seconds that time. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Yeah, that is it in a nutshell. We see we have that test page on here, and yeah, that is it. Again, let's go back to the idea here. Take a site, a typical WordPress site that can be prone to support it, to performance issues potentially. Depends how you build, depends what stack you're using, but potentially taking a WordPress website might have some security holes, might not be the fastest in the world, and using Simply Static to transform it, make it static, lessen the security holes, for lack of a better term, harden the security, make it faster, serve all of the files in a much more performant manner. Yeah, I think the word it's simple is in there. So I think this its product is named appropriately. Again, I've never experienced setting up a static site ever, so couldn't be easier in my opinion. Obviously, read through the documentation. You've seen this video. You've seen a firsthand look at how everything is done. Let's go back into here. Let's go back into our Simply Static. Get too many screens open. Studio. We're over here. So we can log into WordPress. We saw that. Here we can export the site directly from here. We can connect to our domain. We can add members to, so grant people access. And you have different roles here that you can grant access for. I've got 5 sites that I can create here in this test environment. So if you need to delete one, there's obviously an ability to delete. We hover over this little information tooltip. We can grab the WordPress username, password, or copy that to our clipboard. Basic auth username, basic auth password. Update the site name. Call this IWP. Maybe it needs to be longer. There we go. IWP test, update the site name. They give you a nice link to the static site. Okay, there we go. So all about convenience here. Over here, we can manage our redirects and set those up if we need to. Here we can clear our CDN cache. Here we can check our stats. We have a status of deployed. So again, I have 5 sites that I can test with here. Obviously, those are all going to be listed here. You're going to get all, yeah. If you had a ton of sites, then there's the ability we see here to search. So that is cool. I'm actually not sure what just happened there. Let me do another search. I'm going to do IWP test. Okay, there we go. I'm not sure. I must have hit something on the keyboard. But anyway, you get the idea. Gosh, I mean, this couldn't be easier to use for someone who's never used a static site generator. Okay, obviously more settings to dive into here, but we covered them at a high level pretty well, I think. It just depends on what you're using. Are you going to use forums? If not, turn this off. Are you going to want to use comments? Turn that on. Choose the methods, the settings that you need to use. Are you going to use search? Turn that on. Choose the method. You need to optimize further. Run through these. I love that they integrate with ShortPixel. That is one of my preferred vendors for image compression and optimization. So that is really cool. All right, I think I've covered it all. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but one more time, simplystatic.com. If you've got a website that you feel could benefit from switching from the traditional WordPress over to a static site and take advantage of performance, more security, all that sort of stuff, check out Simply Static. Thanks again for being a partner, Simply Static, and I will see you all in the next video.